Ah, Smart Water, now in a sleek can.
This feels cool, literally.
Perfect for social gatherings and on the go.
Should I start wearing turtlenecks?
One sip at a time, friend. Smart Water cans, for those with a taste for taste. Get yours today.
And we're back. It's the Roger Stone Show here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. I don't hide my disdain for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis because, well, I believe in loyalty. I've often heard people say, well, all he had to do was wait and he would have been president. I actually don't think that's true. I think that he does not have the qualities it takes, not just the leadership qualities, but he is, shall we say, charisma challenged. In fact, I think he has some kind of severe personality disorder. He never looks anyone in the eye. He often wears earbuds when he's not listening to anything. That way he can avoid human contact. One of his state police bodyguards used to tell me that he would do anything to avoid friendly crowds going into the back door of public events and refusing to shake hands with anybody on his way out. And his wife is equally charmless. She comes across as an overly ambitious, self-absorbed shrew. Joining me now on the Roger Stone Show is Troy Smith. He is the founder and editor of Slingshot News, which has taken off like a rocket. And he is now the host of Slingshot TV, which you can see on X as well as other platforms. Troy, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Roger, it's an honor, as always, to join you here on WABC, and I just wanted to make this clear. You know, we're here today to expose something that's very troubling, especially for the people of Florida, who it appears, based on this latest expose that you can find at Slingshot News that we were collaborating with you on, that you've also cross-posted to your platforms, this scandal is really screwed the people of Florida out of over $10 million here, Roger. We're going to break it down, but just unbelievable. It's a terrible situation, and we need a full investigation into this right away.
Yeah, an excellent post on this on Substack by a journalist named Jason Garcia. His Substack is called The Seeking Rents. Excellent piece. I don't know this if this reporter even has politics, but when it comes to just straight facts, a superb piece. And some seminal reporting. I first saw it in the Miami Herald, but the bottom line of this is quite simple. Ron DeSantis and his wife, with the knowledge of his chief of staff and involvement of his chief of staff, who he has appointed now to a vacancy in the Attorney General's office, State Attorney General, after he appointed the State General to the U.S. Senate seat that was vacated by Marco Rubio upon his appointment to become Secretary of State, diverted $10 million from the state's Medicaid program to a nonprofit political slush fund. They then took that money and funneled it into the campaign against legalized marijuana in Florida. This is really not about where you stand on that question as so much as the fact that there's been no disclosure here. They're stonewalling the Republicans in the state legislature. They have failed to report the necessary disclosures, as I understand it, required by law. Give us a quick breakdown here.
Well, Roger, it's very simple. This is a shocking corruption scandal that we're going to get into right now. Casey DeSantis's Hope Florida is a 501c3 charity. And that charity, Roger, recently received a $10 million payout as part of a settlement with the state's largest Medicaid provider at the behest of Florida's Agency for Healthcare Administration, a clear conflict of interest. And that was at the direction of Governor Ron DeSantis. The money was moved into Hope Florida from the AHCA as part of a $67 million settlement between the AHCA and Medicaid provider Centene regarding alleged overpayments made to pharmacy benefit managers. Now, $57 million of the settlement, Roger, went back to the taxpayers. $10 million was just inexplicably taken out and given right to Casey DeSantis' nonprofit. And this was compelled by Ron DeSantis' administration. Now, what we found afterwards, Roger, is exactly as you described. This money was then taken in two separate $5 million payments and pushed to Florida Chambers' Secure Florida's Future and another organization called Save Our Society from Drugs that both pushed the political will of Ron DeSantis in the last election here in Florida. So there's a pretty direct tie. Ron DeSantis' administration orchestrates a $10 million payment to Casey DeSantis' charity, who then disperses the money to groups that are advancing Ron DeSantis' political interests. Roger, if that's not corruption, I don't know what is.
No, it's a daisy chain that may have transformed $10 million in public money, that is money meant to pay for health insurance for the poor, the elderly, and disabled Floridians, into funding of the political aspirations of Ron and Casey DeSantis. The governor, of course, insists that he's done nothing wrong, but lashing out in increasingly vitriolic attacks on everyone from the Republican Speaker of the House to newspaper reporters accurately reporting this story. But at least one prominent Republican, Representative Alex Andrade, a Pensacola Republican who's been presiding over hearings looking at all of this, told the Times and Herald newspaper the transaction looks like a criminal fraud by some of those involved. This appears to me also, having talked to a couple of lawyers who know far more than I do, to be potentially a federal crime. This is a part of a larger pattern of potential abuses that Ron DeSantis has committed since last fall. You recall in his gubernatorial campaign, he raised almost $100 million more than he required to run for re-election. Then he took that roughly $100 million, which was in a state PAC, and transferred it into a federal PAC. In fact, he didn't really transfer it. He just changed the nature of the vehicle. I believe that's a violation of state and federal law. The Trump campaign filed a complaint, but because the Federal Election Commission is tied 3-3, they don't make a decision about anything. It is amazing that this entire scheme by the DeSantises could undo not only her campaign for Congress, but I think that there very, very well may be a federal criminal investigation into the governor, the first lady, and the guy who is the attorney general of the state, who was in on this money transfer. Troy?
Well, Roger, there's a lot here to unpack. I spoke to several investigators this morning who are taking a look into this. And, you know, these organizations that are 501c3, Roger, there are specific guidelines as to how you establish these organizations. There are very specific regulations as far as what is public and what is not. And it's not just the legislators should be able to look into Hope Florida. It should be that anybody that is a concerned citizen should be able to look into it, because that is why Hope Florida has been given this charitable, public, tax-free designation. It's been given this top-tier, sought-after provision because it has proclaimed to benefit the public. And what we have uncovered in this investigation is not only has the organization not worked to benefit the public, but has received chunks of money from the very government that the woman who started its husband runs. And, Roger, we can't state enough here that the fact that they refuse to disclose certain things, they haven't filed the correct paperwork as far as upstanding organizations are supposed to do. Any other organization, let's say Roger Stone or Troy Smith created an organization that had this many problems, we would be under investigation. We would be subject to fines, penalties, and maybe even imprisonment. So I guess the question we have to ask, Roger, is if it could happen to you or it could happen to me, why isn't it happening to Ron and Casey DeSantis?
Yeah, I would note that the House Speaker of Florida, Republican Daniel Perez of Miami-Dade, said on Wednesday, so far it looks as although it all could be illegal. When we come back, I'm going to ask Troy Smith about another politician who seems to be in deep kimchi. That is New York Attorney General Letitia James. Shocking revelations about her serial mortgage fraud brought forward by Sam Antar at his whitecollarfraud.com and also by Joel Gilbert over at the Gateway Pundit. So if you want to hear the latest on that, don't go away.
Now, it's time for Protecting Your Future, sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's Roger Stone.
In these turbulent financial times, with the Federal Reserve insisting that they answer to no one and printing money like it's going out of style, with our national debt in the trillions and completely unsustainable, and with hundreds of lawsuits trying to stop Elon Musk and his Doge from ferreting out not millions, not billions, but trillions of waste, fraud, and corruption in public spending, now is the time to protect your future, your retirement, and do so by fortifying your retirement with the strength of gold. You can acquire precious metals like gold. You can convert a portion or all of your IRA, your 401k, or your cash savings, and you can do so tax-free. The people I trust to do this are the folks at the Colonial Metals Group. You can reach them at colonialmetalsgroup.com/stone or go to freegoldguide.com. Now is the time to fortify your future with the strength of gold.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the U.S. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. Underwear drawers are like the Wild West. You never know what you're going to pull out or what shape it's in. So upgrade your collection with the buttery soft comfort of MeUndies. MeUndies' signature fabric is as soft as a warm hug from your favorite sweater. Plus, it's breathable and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all-day wear. Get 20% off your first order, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/Spotify with code SPOTIFY. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify, code SPOTIFY.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian-approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences, like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code listen50 for 50% off, plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50. Code listen50. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Troy Smith. He is the founder and editor of Slingshot.news. He also has a popular new online show. Troy, tell folks where they can see your work.
Roger, thank you very much. The website is slingshot.news. Just put that into your browser. Or if you want to see the show, Slingshot TV, we air every single weeknight at 7 to 8 p.m., and you can check that out at News Slingshot. So just put into X at News Slingshot. And we've also recently opened a Substack, Roger. You search for Slingshot News on Substack. You'll also find our work in specifically the piece about DeSantis.
So I want to ask you about this shocking report. Sam Antar, a financial analyst with a colorful past, but a true expert, once himself convicted in one of the largest financial frauds in American history, served his time, served his debt to society, rededicated himself to ferreting out the truth about some of our politicians and major corporations. He has determined that New York's Attorney General Letitia James, who built her career on exposing deception, in fact, may be quite guilty of a little deception herself. It has to do with a real estate transaction in Norfolk, Virginia, carried out, strangely enough, just weeks before she charged, or I should say tried, Donald Trump for valuation fraud, but it raises serious questions about her own compliance with New York law. You see, a declaration buried in legal filings state the Attorney General's intent to make Virginia, a house she was buying through this mortgage, her principal residence. She wrote, "I hereby declare that I intend to occupy this property as my principal residence." Those words appear in black and white in a specific power of attorney signed by Letitia James and filed in Norfolk, Virginia on August 17, 2023, authorizing her relative, Shamise Thompson Hairston, to act on her behalf in a transaction that included a declaration. They were not written by a lawyer on her behalf. They're not part of some boilerplate language in the mortgage. Those are her words, her intent, her signature, Antar reports. This signed power of attorney is a smoking gun of its own, completely separate about how the mortgage might be interpreted. It is a clear declaration of intent from the sitting New York Attorney General to establish principal residency in a different state. Now, under New York state law, were a statewide elected official to move out of state, the office they hold would automatically be vacated. So one of two things are true. Either she has moved out of state, as she said she would do within 60 days of signing this document, or, if that is not the case, then she has engaged in mortgage fraud. As you know, Troy, this is not the first misstep by the Attorney General, who insists that no person is above the law. By the way, that includes her. But this is one of a long series of acts that appear to me to be mortgage fraud. Troy, your thoughts?
Well, Roger, this is embroiling Letitia James, and people just have to be aware. This is a woman who spent her entire career trying to get Trump, and in search of that, she actually has committed a lot of infractions herself, and we're looking at this along with the fact, Roger, I'm not sure that you know this, but this is actually a problem with Adam Schiff as well. Adam Schiff, the senator, owns a 3,400 square foot home in Potomac, Maryland, that he has listed as his primary residence for year after year after year on his taxes. And, this would, based on the rules of the Senate, based on the rules of the U.S. Constitution, disqualify him from being a member of the U.S. Senate, because when he was elected, he listed his primary residence in Maryland. And this is another example. I think there's so many conservatives, Roger, that look at Letitia James, the fact that she is not, by her own admission, a resident of the state, which binds her. By the way, we have in the New York Constitution, it's very clear that Letitia James has to be a member of the or a resident of the state of New York, and that is Article 4, Section 2. And that it goes into Executive Law Section 60 to clarify eligibility, Roger, and that states that Letitia James has to be a resident, declared resident of the state of New York in order to serve as Attorney General. And we've revealed here on the show, and Sam Antar as well, that that is not the case. So we have people like Adam Schiff, people like Letitia James red-handed, Roger, but there never seems to be accountability. There never seems to be actions on this. I think it's something that people are looking to the Trump administration now and Pam Bondi and the Justice Department and Kash Patel, and they want to see action on these things. I am sitting with everybody else waiting for the hammer to drop because we have the evidence. We've revealed it here. It's just a matter of enforcing the law.
No, I think you're absolutely right. This is part of a larger pattern. In the first mortgage that Letitia was able to get, when she was but 24 years old, she appears to have relied on the balance sheet and the financials of her father. Now, she told the mortgage company that her father was her husband. and the mortgage says that they are man and wife, but the title for the property correctly says they are father and daughter. That is, of course, fraud. On another case, she applied for and got a federal HAMP loan. This is a loan that is available for investment properties, but those properties have to have at least 5 units. It was Joel Gilbert at Gateway Pundit who determined that the property in question, also in Virginia, only had 4 units. Yet another incidence of mortgage fraud. So I guess the question is, do we have one standard of law or 2? She's the one who says that no person is above the law. And it appears to me that these are federal crimes, and they ought to be investigated. We shall see. What's a little disappointing is that the New York Times, the New York Post, the Daily News, all of these great media outlets have been supplied with this information, but none of them have reported. Let me thank our guest, Troy Smith at Slingshot.News, for joining us. Remind you folks that you're listening to the Roger Stone Show here on the Red Apple Audio Networks, and whatever you do, don't touch that dial because we'll be right back.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.